waste that pollutes our streams. Pet waste left on the ground washes into our water, along with harmful bacteria. Help keep our water healthy and safe. Remember, if it's on the ground, it's in our water. Learn more at mark.org.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. Should we start this meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting, and motion to close part of the meeting. Call a roll.
Councilmember Saper.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Toll.
Here.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Here.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
And Councilmember DeLong.
Here. Thank you. I'd like to ask Councilmember Saper to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Toll.
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes. Thank you. The next item is comments from the public. Ms. Nakahoto, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to the City Council tonight?
Eric, this is Stephen. I'm taking over for Kim tonight. So if there are anyone in the attendees who would like to make a public comment tonight, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, or if you're dialed in, press *9 to be recognized. Eric, at this point, nobody is indicating that they would like to speak.
All right, thank you. The next item is the approval of the regular council meeting minutes of April 7th, 2021. Is there a motion? So move.
Second.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Toll.
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes. Thank you.
Item 7. Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Crystal.
Okay. Item 7, declaring the results of the city's general election held in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri on April 6, 2021. Bill number 7593, ordinance number 9390.
First reading.
Second.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Toll.
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
An ordinance declaring the results of the city's general election held in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri on April 6, 2021.
I move that bill number 7593 be placed on second final reading and passed as ordinance number 9301.
Second.
Or is it 93? Yeah, 93-0.
Nine.
939. Yeah, 9390. Sorry.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
I don't remember now.
Give it to Rick. Rick seconded it.
Without Tom, we're all messed up.
Councilmember Saber,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
An ordinance declaring the results of the general election held in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri on April 6, 2021. Number 8, oath of office for mayor and council members elect on April 6, 2021.
Crystal, how did you want to proceed at this point? Did you want to administer the oath of office to the mayor?
Yes, let's start with the mayor. Do you solemnly swear that you possess all the qualifications of mayor as prescribed by law, that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri, and will faithfully demean yourself, so help you God?
I do.
And then if you can come in tomorrow and sign the oath, I'd appreciate it.
I will be there tomorrow.
Okay. Now, if all the new council members and Jesse, you too, you have to get sworn in again.
But can we ask all the newly elected members to go ahead and put themselves on video? Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Do you solemnly swear that you possess all the qualifications of council member as prescribed by law, that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri, and will faithfully demean yourself, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, and if you guys could all try to stop by sometime this week, I'll leave them up front and you can sign your oath of office and then I'll put it on file.
Congratulations to the new mayor and to the newly elected or re-elected members of the city council. Thank you to Mayor Stilo and to Councilmember Stewart for your service. I'll go ahead and ask you all to take yourselves off video.
You ready? All right. If we are ready, I'm going to proceed. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a first and second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi,
Yes.
and Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. Next item, selection of Mayor Pro Tempore.
That last one was weird. I was waiting for you to call my name to vote. Gonna have to work on that transition. No, selection of Mayor Pro Tem. Each year, the council selects from amongst its members a person to serve on as Mayor Pro Tem. So the way this process will work is I'm going to ask for nominations for council from the council for Mayor Pro Tem. You'll nominate people, and then you'll vote on who you want to select as Mayor Pro Tem. So I will ask for nominations now from the council for Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Smith currently serves in that role. I saw Councilmember Graves and then Roberts.
I would like to nominate Councilman Anthony Saper.
Councilmember Roberts.
I'd like to nominate or renominate Councilman Smith.
All right. Are there any other nominations?
Okay, if there are no further nominations, when the clerk calls your name, please indicate the name of the council member you are voting for. We have Councilmember Saper and Councilmember Smith.
Councilmember Saper,
Saper.
Councilmember Smith,
Smith.
Councilmember Toll,
Smith.
Councilmember Clevenger. You're muted, Zach.
Sorry, Smith,
Okay. Councilmember Roberts,
Smith.
Councilmember Clark,
Smith.
Councilmember Palumbi,
Smith.
and Councilmember Graves.
Saper.
Okay, it was 6-2 with Councilmember Smith being elected. The next item is selection of council member to serve on the Planning Commission.
All right, so this is selection of council member to serve on Planning Commission. Similar process, going to open it up for nominations, and then we'll do a similar voting process. Are there any nominations for Planning Commission? Councilmember Smith.
I would like to nominate Councilmember Saper, and he and I have disagreed on most everything planning related, but I think that's important that we have that sort of balance. And I think he's very educated in this manner, and I think he'll do a great job.
All right, I believe I saw Councilmember Clevenger as well.
actually, I was going to nominate Councilmember Saper as well, so I would agree with that.
All right, seeing no other nominations for this one, we'll do a yes/no vote on Councilmember Saper to the Planning Commission.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Absolutely. Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi,
Yes.
and Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. Number 19, zoning ordinance text amendments, driveways and shared parking. Bill number 7595, ordinance number 9392.
Sarah.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Community Development Director, Sarah Copeland.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The ordinance that is before you this evening concerns two main topics. The first is driveway widths. When we were drafting the updated ordinance, staff did not include driveway maximum widths or minimum spacing for the Service A and Service B streets in the section on frontage types. The reason for this is that these driveway maximums are also established by the American Public Works Association's standards that are used by our Public Works Department. And we thought it would be easier not to be redundant. However, we found that this is actually confusing for most people who are referring to this table. And we think it would be helpful to add these maximums and minimums back into the table in this section. In practice, this is not going to impact existing drives, but would impact anyone who's adding a driveway on the streets that we've designated as Service A or Service B, which is shown in the map that was included in your packet. The second topic of this amendment is shared parking. We are making a change to how we approve shared parking arrangements in this amendment. Instead of being something that would be administratively approved, we would only administratively approve shared parking arrangements when the parcels are abutting. And in any case where parcels are not abutting, for example, if two parcels are separated by a street, or if they're just not immediately adjacent to each other, that shared parking arrangement would require Planning Commission approval. Otherwise, all of the existing requirements for shared parking would continue to be in place. It would just be a review by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did hold the required public hearing on this item on April 1st. No one appeared to speak, and the Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval to you. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have about this ordinance.
Councilmember Smith.
And thank you, Sarah, and thanks for getting this together. I just want to add a little flavor to it as well, since my name is attached. I did ask for this because in an analysis of the 18th and Swift situation, I tried to look back and see how could we have gotten ahead of what happened there with the shared parking arrangement. And one of those things that we ran into was the approval of the parking lot that the developer identified. Because it was within the code and it was administratively approved. And then there was a lot of confusion as to why this didn't go through a certain process. So now, if there is that access issue, for example, the access issue between the apartment building and the surface lot that was identified, that would go through the planning commission now, or if there's a street or any other impediment, like Sarah mentioned. So if they're not directly abutting, then it goes to the planning commission. Just as one more step and one more group to make sure that this is going to work. So that's why I asked for it.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion for first reading?
First reading.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi,
Yes.
Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. An ordinance amending Chapter 17.20 non-residential development standards and Chapter 17.28 access and parking of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7595 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9392.
Second.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi,
Yes.
and Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
An ordinance amending Chapter 17.20 non-residential development standards and Chapter 17.28 access and parking of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri. Item 20, discussion of how the City Council wants to meet going forward.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. The city's COVID-19 stay-at-home order became effective on March 24th of last year, and the City Council's first meeting on a virtual platform was conducted just over a year ago and has continued to the present day. With the installation of a new governing body, staff felt it was appropriate at this time to ask you if you wished to consider going back to meeting again in person or continue meeting on a virtual platform. In our memo, we suggest some ways that you could do it in person if you wish to. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about our ideas for that. And at this time, we would seek your direction on this question.
So, Councilmember Saper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is ample vaccine supply available to anyone over 16 years of age now. There are dozens of places to get it. Some of them even have walk-ups. If people get the vaccination within the next 10 days, they could be fully vaccinated by our second council meeting in June. And that would make a good target date to resume our in-person meetings. And if necessary, if people feel it's necessary, we could even put up plexiglass shields to separate each of the council seats and do the same for staff if necessary, depending on the arrangements. But that would give us a time to actually safely return to in-council meetings on the second meeting in June. And that's my thoughts on the matter.
All right, thank you. Also saw Councilmember Clevenger and Toll. So Clevenger, you're gonna go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, I understand that the desire for the public to have us meet in person. I'd like nothing better than that. I think obviously at this time, it's a little bit early. Now that the vaccines are available and getting the shots in the arms, I'm not sure how much longer. I'd like to ask staff how much longer Operation Safe is maybe going to continue on their vaccinations. But I would list, we never know with the pandemic what's going to happen. So I think it's something that maybe at our first council meeting in June, we can revisit again, and see how the numbers are looking and go from there. But, at this time, I think the virtual platform is the best way to go without any kind of hybrid until we can get some more time for people to become fully vaccinated. Thank you.
Councilmember Toll.
I had seen it, hold on one second. I had seen it put out there that possibly a hybrid situation. So I just wanted to, in front of other comments, say that I would not support hybrid. I think that would be too difficult to manage. I think we're either all back or we're not back. Chief Hargis, I know it's slowed down with Operation Safe. Do you have any answers for Zach's question? When is Operation Safe going to be completed, and how many people are you still seeing on vaccination days?
Our first dose days have really dropped off. Last week, we only had 2,500 on Friday. Our last scheduled day to operate doing a second dose shot is May 6th right now, and we don't have any plans for that. I know that vaccines are readily available at the local CVS on Armour Road, also at the Price Chopper up on North Oak and Vivian, and all the clinics around town are seeing a large drop off on the first doses. It seems like a lot of the people that wanted the shots initially have gotten them. So I think we're going to scale back, and the county and the local municipalities are going to work on populations that haven't been able to make it to the mass vaccination site. But that's where we're at right now.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, I had Councilmember Smith, and we'll go Graves and then Clark.
I would support what Councilmember Saper said, to target the second meeting in June, since the vaccines will have been available for long enough that everyone who wants to be fully vaccinated should be fully vaccinated. And as Zach pointed out, if we want to talk about it again on the first meeting in June, if the numbers have spiked or something's really gone wrong, we could call it off. But I think we target that date so that we can start setting the plan in place.
Councilmember Graves. Councilmember Graves, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to point out a couple things. I floated a hybrid system out there. Councilmember Toll just brought that up, and it is, we either have to go back or stay Zoom. According to the IT professional with the city, a hybrid system is not feasible. It's impossible to do. They did say that if there were council members if we do go back in person and there's council members that are uncomfortable going back in person, then they would be allowed to participate on the telephone. And that would be the same as being on Zoom, only we can't see their face essentially. And I checked with our city administrator, and he did say that you can vote via telephone since we are, in this pandemic. It would be allowed to vote via telephone. And so if we do go back and some of you are uncomfortable coming back, then you can still participate just like you're doing right now via Zoom. You'll just be on the telephone and we just won't be able to see your face. And so I would support going back as soon as possible. And if you guys feel comfortable with a mid-June target date, then I'm cool with that. I would even go back earlier if possible. Thank you.
Councilmember Clark next.
Yeah, I was actually just going to reach out to our newest council member, Anna, to kind of get some feedback from you've got the perspective from the inside track. You've got the perspective that none of us do. So I want to point to you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I would love to hear your input on this.
Yeah, so I have been in COVID ICU for the last year. So I've seen it. From the hospital standpoint, we've definitely have seen numbers drop dramatically, I would say. I don't know if you guys got to see kind of the update that Dr. Righteous, who's the CEO, had sent just in terms of what the numbers look like at the hospital right now. And then I do know that as they talked about Operation Safe, that is going to wrap up from what we've been told the first week or two of May, meaning that most people will have had the opportunity to be vaccinated at that point. I myself am vaccinated, and I don't know if kind of the council is looking at making sure that there is like a percent of people that are on the council or are going to be actively at City Hall that would make people more comfortable kind of targeting a specific percent of people there. So I'm kind of like open to what you guys kind of are thinking. I definitely feel like after being vaccinated, my comfort level has definitely increased, and I feel like I would be more than happy to go back to in-person meetings, but I'm new. And so I'm probably a little bit less scared of COVID because I've been around it so much over the last year. So I'm interested to see kind of what your guys' feedback is.
Thank you, Councilmember Columbia. I appreciate that, the knowledge on that and your experience there. What I would note, in addition to just council members too, is we also have, staff, we have consultants, you have lawyers, I have everyone else involved in the meetings and the items. So, it's bringing those groups together. So, just thinking, being cautious. So I think a good approach would be to take, April 9th, all Missourians became eligible, and then just kind of calendar day it out from there. So that ends up basically what everyone's already, I've heard a lot, is that mid-June date. So I think it'd be reasonable if we went to having this discussion again in the first meeting in June, and probably count on having the second meeting in June in person. But just give us that first meeting in June to confirm. See a couple other hands. I got Councilmember Smith and Councilmember Toll.
To put a fine point on that, I think at the first June meeting, we have a vote, and I would ask that vote be entirely unanimous to go back. If one person is not comfortable going back, none of us should. Calling in on the telephone, essentially we're doing this because we want the public more involved, and we're saying that calling in on the telephone is not as effective as being there in person. We certainly don't want a council member participating via telephone because it wouldn't be as effective. So I say it's unanimous, or we stay off until everyone's comfortable, but there should be full vaccination opportunity by then. So I don't see a reason we wouldn't.
Councilmember Toll.
I'm also good with that date. The only other thing that I would say, and we wouldn't be making that decision today, but I would like there to be still a mask mandate. I mean, we can't see that far out into the future, but my children are under 16, and we don't know yet if you have a vaccine, if you could still be carrying the virus. So I will not be going into places without a mask, and would not be going in if other people weren't required to wear a mask. So knowing that we can't require people to get vaccinated, but we feel like everyone who wants to has been vaccinated, I would just like to think ahead to maybe what our policy would be in that case.
Thank you. Councilmember Graves.
Yeah, just real quick, I take exception to Councilmember Smith's comment regarding making it a unanimous vote to go back. If we have 8 people on council, 7 people vote to go back, and there's 1 negative vote, then that person, is more than capable of participating via phone, just like we're doing right now. We just can't see their face. That's literally the only difference, is you can't see their face. They can still vote and participate in the meeting via telephone. So I would suggest that we just, have a vote like usual. Thank you.
Councilmember Toll.
I would say, as someone who has been in many meetings where someone has to be on a phone calling in, it is definitely not exactly the same. You can't see facial expressions. We don't have a go-between. We're all in the same situation here. If you meet and only one person's on the phone, it's really not the same for lots of reasons. And I've been in tons of meetings where a parent needs to call in and do it by phone, or a service provider needs to call in and do it by phone, and it definitely is not the same. So I would say, I would agree with Jesse's idea of all or none. It sounds like we're all in favor as long as we keep going down this path.
Councilmember Graves.
Yeah, so theoretically, I'm just throwing it out there. We could theoretically have one council member vote no for the next 2 years. Just keep that in mind. Like we could be stuck on Zoom for 2 years because one person votes no. So just keep that in mind. And then secondly, it's been said that you have to feel comfortable with a number of people being vaccinated. And it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, city staff, but I don't think we can ask city staff or council members whether or not they've been vaccinated. That's a medical question. And so if there's council members that are demanding a certain percentage of us or all of us, et cetera, are vaccinated before they'll come back, and that information is not available, then theoretically we could be on Zoom for the next 2 years in that scenario.
To my point earlier, I was just taking it from, the date that it became available to everybody. That was going to kind of be my starting point. And seeing that there's been additional doses, I feel like, we fulfilled the people that want to have it. So the people that want to have it, at least in this specific area, they should have been able to get this point. Councilmember Palumbi, did you have your hand?
I just did want to throw out one more thing. So even though it seems like the majority of the group is in favor of going back to in-person meetings and hopefully everybody being able to attend in person, we really don't know how long the vaccinations are going to last in terms of their effectiveness. So we would need to have kind of a plan B to look into for council people who maybe get exposed to somebody with COVID or maybe even get COVID themselves. So I do think in our back pocket, we will need to have a plan B for being able to call in or doing this in a different format. Even if we were to all go back to in-person, that wouldn't just, force that person to sit out of that entire council meeting.
Thank you, everyone. It sounds like the consensus is to discuss this again the first meeting in June. Eric, did you need anything else from this?
No, sir. We'll put it on your June 1st agenda.
All right. Thank you. That's it for this item.
Item 21, ordinance declaring 18th Avenue from Swift to Clay to be one-way westbound. Bill number 7594, ordinance number 9391.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. During the city council meeting on Wednesday, April 7th, the city council passed a motion that 18th Avenue be made a one-way street during construction of the mixed-use building being developed by 18th and Swift LLC. The council direction was implemented 2 days later, inasmuch as both state statute and the city code require that change of passage for vehicles from two-way to one-way be done by ordinance. Presented for council approval at this time as an ordinance ratifying the previous direction.
Councilmember Saper.
Mr. Mayor, this is a slightly off that topic, but not really. I talked to some of the business owners on 18th Street and how things are going and so forth. And they told me they've noticed some cars going the wrong way. And the signage is excellent if you're coming from Burlington going eastbound. There's no question that it's one way at that point. However, when I walked around the corner and took a look at the perspective of someone coming southbound on Clay to that intersection, they're confronted with a stop sign and a fence showing the whole construction project. And just to the left of that fence are the orange barricades. And above them is a one-way sign. But someone driving up to that, they're going to look at the stop sign, possibly look to the right toward Burlington, see if cars are coming. And then because of the interest in the construction zone, they might not really notice that one-way sign. And they may be the ones who are turning left. And then since they discover they're on a one-way street, they may be speeding. So I would hope that we could put a do not enter sign or something actually on the fence that they would be seeing in the front of their windshield to make it clear.
Thank you for that, staff. Is that something that we can look at from that perspective and see what that looks like again?
Yes, sir. We can take a look at that, sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilmember Graves.
Real quick on this issue, I shopped this week at FM Music and at PAX Alterations and spoke with both owners, and they're ecstatic with the change. So I want to applaud, give a little shout out to Joe Gower for the work he did on that. And there's many other people in our community that stepped up and spoke out at the last meeting, and I appreciate you guys and those business owners. Really appreciate what was done, and they're cautiously optimistic that this will help their business. So thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, is there a motion for a first reading?
First reading.
First reading. Second.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Plumby,
Yes.
Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. And ordinance A, establishing 18th Avenue from Swift to Clay as a one-way westbound street. B, providing for the regulation of vehicles thereon. C, directing the Public Works Director to change 18th Avenue between Swift and Clay from a two-way passage to a one-way passage in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri. And D, declaring it to be unlawful to operate a vehicle in violation of this ordinance and posted signs.
Or a motion for the second reading and passage of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
We need the official wording.
Because I'm ready.
Yeah, Amy's the parliamentarian now. Go for it.
Go for it.
Tom tapped me in. I move that bill number 7594 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9391.
Second.
Yes, girl.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Plumby,
Yes.
Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
An ordinance A, establishing 18th Avenue from Swift to Clay as a one-way westbound street. B, providing for the regulation of vehicles thereon. C, directing the Public Works Director to change 18th Avenue between Swift and Clay from a two-way passage to a one-way passage in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri. And D, declaring it to be unlawful to operate a vehicle in violation of this ordinance and posted signs. Number 22, approving accounts due and payable by the city through April 16th, 2021. Bill number 7596, ordinance number 9393.
Your motion for first reading?
First reading.
Second.
Second.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Plumby,
Yes.
Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through April 16th, 2021.
I move that bill number 7596 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9393.
Second.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Toll,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Plumby,
Yes.
and Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through April 16th, 2021.
Next, staff comments. Eric.
Thanks, sir. There are a number of reports in your packet. Upcoming city items of note, quarterly financial report for the second quarter of the fiscal year, and North Kansas City Hospital COVID statistics. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, staff has no comments tonight.
Seeing no questions, moving on to council member comment. And we are starting with council member Saper.
Oh, good. I get to say thank you to all the people who have served as mayor and city council in the past and their service to the city. And a hearty welcome to everyone who is new to the council and to the returning members as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Toll. Or no, am I out of order here? Let me know if I go out of order. I'm going off my sheet. Councilmember.
You're out of order.
Am I?
It's Jesse.
Oh, Councilmember Smith.
You're out of line, Mayor DeLong.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Councilmember
Okay.
Smith.
I would also like to say welcome to the new members and thank you to the outgoing. I did notice an almost perfect mute button etiquette tonight, minus one small slip up by Mr. Clevenger, but hey, we don't mention that. Good job, new folks. I want to thank staff for handling an issue that some folks in my ward ran into with the alleyway construction in the post office. We were able to get a set of mailboxes relocated on short notice. So thank you to Anthony Sands and Eric for handling that very efficiently. I'd also like to mention that the hospital board does have a seat open, which has been posted publicly, and applications are coming in. I believe we've got a number of highly qualified applicants, and we're looking to expand on that. So keep your ear to the ground for public postings of these board and commission seats. I know that's going to be a point of emphasis going forward. And then last thing, I would like to nominate Amy as the official parliamentarian of the new council. So if everybody just wants to keep their mouth shut while she reads those ordinances, that would be wonderful. She's doing such a great job. That's all from me.
Councilmember Clevenger.
No. Toll.
Oh, now it's
That's
Toll.
okay. I'll just take my
I
turn.
was just going on my sheet again. Councilmember Toll. Just throw it out there.
I wanted to say welcome to everyone as well, and thank you for past members. I know this keeps coming up, but Chief Hargis, you're doing such a great job. I keep hearing from people, and not even just North Kansas City people, other people I know that have come to Operation Safe. And thank you for having that information on the tip of your tongue when we asked. It's been so wonderful, and it's been really, really well received and well run. The other thing I wanted to say is there is an equity and inclusion meeting on Thursday. It's the first Thursday of the month. And we will have Chief Freeman with us at the first, answering some questions that we are passing on to him ahead of time since we are virtual. So our goal will be to do more of a town hall in the future like we did in the park. But since we're virtual, I've had people sending me questions. If there's anything you'd like to add to the list or topics that you have concerns about, please go ahead and email me. And again, welcome newbies.
Now I'm scared to get it off my list. Councilmember Clevenger, I think.
Yeah, now it's my turn. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, want to thank the outgoing mayor and city council people as well that have served, enjoyed working with you. Also want to thank the hospital and Dr. Righteous for their continued reports and letting us know what's going on, kind of giving us the heartbeat of what's going on with the COVID in our community. So, couple other things, just, Arbor Day's coming up. Happy Arbor Day to everybody. Our town's got great trees and, we're a tree city. So love Arbor Day. And thank you to Jesse on item 19 for the zoning and for the parking clarification there in our ordinance. So good looking out on that. The only other thing is happy early birthday to one of my littlest fans out there. She turns 2 on Earth Day. So happy birthday to Ella Rose early. And that's it.
Councilmember Roberts.
Well, hey, everybody. It's been a fun first meeting, I guess. Thanks for having me. And thanks to our previous council people and mayor for all the hard work you guys did. Welcome, new mayor DeLong. And I got nothing because this is my first thing. It's been an easy thing. And so I guess Chief Hargis has been doing great. I volunteered twice at Operation Safe. And if you're bored in these warm summer days, they can still use volunteers over there, and it was actually a total blast. So I encourage everybody to take a look at volunteering, and of course get the word out that anybody over 16 can get vaccinated now. So let's push that because it's starting to plateau in a kind of a scary way at like 40%. We need to get those numbers way up. So that's it for me.
Councilmember Clark.
Hi, everyone that's new. Hi again, Adam, Anna. I, of course, saw you at orientation. Well, I saw this much of you. Good to see your mouths move. Yeah, great. I know it was a great first meeting. Glad everybody's here. Wes, you showed up the day before us because you were overachieving, of course. So I didn't get to see you at orientation, but make sure to maintain that face. Very serious. I just felt like, thanks, Jesse, for pointing out parliamentarian. I just want to shout out to Tempore. Everything I learned is from you, man. Just want you to know that. Say that right into the camera. If you're watching tonight, I learned from watching you. And yeah, everybody else, welcome. So glad everybody's here. Bryant, once again, congrats. Mayor DeLong, feels strange, but congrats. And Tony, I'm super stoked that you're going to be on the Planning Commission. I didn't even know that we all planned for that. I had it in my head and there it was. So yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilmember Columbia.
Well, like Adam said, I'm also pretty new, so I don't have a whole lot to say, but I did want to thank the exiting members of the council, as well as the current members of the council for having a warm welcome for us newbies and helping us get through our first meeting with only a few minor errors and mishaps. I know that we're all very excited to work together, and hopefully we're going to make some good changes.
Thank you. And cleaning up, Councilmember Graves.
Last but not least, I'm also a new guy, but as you all know, I have a big mouth, so I do have a lot to say. So I'm going to hit the ground running here on council. I've been blown away thus far with the city staff. They've been awesome to work with. I'm very impressed by the city staff that we have. They're very knowledgeable, professional. Every question I've had has been answered right away. And also I want to reach out to my fellow council members. There's 3 things I'm working on right now that I'm trying to prioritize what I'm working on and focusing on. And I'm looking for allies because here on council, I want the public to know I can't do anything by myself. So we have to vote and form alliances and work together. And so here's what I'm working on. I'm just going to throw stuff out there. And if you council members hear something I'm working on, if you want to join with me, then reach out. You know how to reach me. First thing I'm working on is I'd like to open discussion regarding the NKC resident priority hiring policy. I believe that North Kansas City resident, if they apply for a job with the city, I believe that their job application should receive precedence when compared to applicants of similar qualifications. So if there's a city job opening and there's 5 applicants and 4 live in Gladstone and 1 lives in North Kansas City and they're similarly qualified, we should give the Northtown person the job. So if you guys want to work with me on that, reach out. You know how to reach me. Second thing I'm working on behind the scenes is we have tenant health and safety issues in North Kansas City. We have tenants that rent property that have health and safety issues, and they reach out to their landlord. Perhaps sometimes it's not taken care of. And I think that we as a city council should watch out for those people and protect our citizens and make sure that we have people living in safe and humane conditions. And then thirdly, this is kind of an acute problem that only affects people on a couple streets, but for certain people, it's a huge issue. On Gentry and East 26th Avenue, high school parking is a nightmare. They use our street as a parking lot. And I'm trying to fix this behind the scenes and talk to people that are on the school board, principal, things of that nature. So if anybody wants to join with me, I've already talked to Mr. Saper about this, who's in my ward, and it's a big issue in my ward. So that's what 3 things I'm focusing on. And then if any of you want to work with me on anything, let me know. And as far as residents go, if you guys have any great ideas, people like to complain to council members, but you can also give us ideas. If you have a great idea that you'd like us to bring to council, we're all ears. So if you want to throw an idea out there, I'm not scared to throw ideas out there, even if they're stupid. So let me know. Have a good day. Thanks.
All right, back around to me. Thank you for that. Exactly. Kick us all ideas, kick everyone ideas. throw all your stuff our way. First of all, congratulations to everyone new. Congratulations to everyone returning. I look forward to working with you all over the next several years. And also thank you to our outgoing members. You know, it takes a lot of time and energy and effort to, you know, do this for years after year after year, and which many of them did. And so I appreciate their time and their efforts over the last several years and getting to know them and of course work with them. Second of all, I received my second COVID dose the week before last and had the privilege of getting mine from Chief Hargis himself. Very well run operation. We've heard it several times, but I got to give him the shout out again. It's incredible. There's a lot of activity, but you never stop. You go straight through, and then all of a sudden you're done and you're back out the door. So thank you, Chief Hargis, Kim, Chief Freeman, Eric, and everyone else who's touched that operation from the city side. I appreciate all your support there. Next item I had, I just want to give council a quick update on the board appointments, which, you know, I'll try to do this more regularly as appointments happen, just so everyone's more aware of what's going on. I'm going to start looking at the applications that we have on file for the current hospital board opening in the next couple weeks. And of course, I'll inform you guys when I come to some sort of decision on the appointment. And of course, what my next steps in that process will be. And right now I'm unaware of any other openings. As Councilmember Smith already mentioned, I'm sure many of you saw it on the city's website or the city's social media channels already going forward. I'm going to ask that all those be posted in a similar fashion. Just so we have an opportunity for people to see it, not opportunity for people to apply. Other than that, you know, in the next month or so, I'm going to be figuring out what exactly I am doing here, and we'll be getting fired away on more engagement events. It's been kind of hectic the last couple of weeks, but I think now that we've hit our first meeting, I'll be able to get some of the other fun things figured out. So stay tuned as we get ready for some more engagement events. And that's all I have for this evening. Back to you, Eric, or Kristen.
I guess Crystal, next item.
Item 26. Consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a personnel matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute Section 610.0213.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Saper? You're muted, sir.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
And Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Item 27, consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city councilor to be held on this date on a litigation matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute Section 610.0211.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
And Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
So at this time, I'd ask everybody to go into the email that was sent to you to go into the executive session.
Anna and Adam, did you get the email? Oh, there we go.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night, everybody.
Everyone have a good night.
Night.